John Martinez opened his eyes to a bright white light. His head hurt. He tried to remember where he was, or how he got here, but his mind was empty. Nothing came to him. Not his home, not his job, not even what he did yesterday. He was lying on a bed that felt too firm. The room around him was clean and white. Strange machines with blinking lights surrounded him. They made soft beeping sounds. A clear tube ran from one machine into his arm. John tried to sit up. His body felt heavy and strange, like it belonged to someone else. He looked down at his hands. They were his hands, he was sure of that, but he couldn't remember using them for anything specific. "Ah, you're awake," said a voice. John turned to see two figures enter the room. They looked almost human, but not quite. Their skin was pale blue. Their eyes were larger than human eyes and had no whites, just large purple irises. They were thin and tall, at least 7 feet in height. They wore matching white uniforms with symbols John didn't recognize. "Where am I?" John asked. His voice came out rough and dry. "You're safe," said the taller of the two. "I am Dr. Nix, Chief Medical Officer of this facility. This is Security Director Krell." Krell nodded but didn't speak. His eyes never left John's face. "What happened to me?" John asked. "Why can't I remember anything?" Dr. Nix moved closer to the bed. "Your planet, Earth, was dying. We rescued as many humans as we could. You were among them. The trauma of watching your world collapse was too much for your mind. To save you from that pain, we had to remove your memories." John tried to process this. Earth was gone? Everyone he knew, dead? But he couldn't even remember who he might have lost. "We are the Vexari," Dr. Nix continued. "We've taken in human refugees like yourself. We're helping you adjust to your new life here." "How many humans did you save?" John asked. Krell and Dr. Nix exchanged a look. "Not as many as we would have liked," Dr. Nix said. "Now you need to rest. Tomorrow we'll begin your reintegration therapy." They left John alone with his empty mind, and a story that didn't feel right. If Earth was gone, why didn't he feel sad? Shouldn't there be some emotional echo even without specific memories? The next day, Dr. Nix returned. For hours, she showed John images of Vexari culture. She taught him about their history, their beliefs, and the role he would play as a cultural ambassador between humans and Vexari. During these sessions, strange things happened to John. Sometimes his hands would move on their own, forming shapes he didn't understand. Other times images would flash in his mind, running down a corridor, the sound of an alarm, the feel of something heavy in his hands. "Is something wrong?" Dr. Nix asked when she noticed him flinch. "I saw something. A memory, maybe?" Dr. Nix frowned. "That's not possible, but the mind is complex. Your brain is likely creating false memories to fill the void." That night, John dreamed. He was running through metal hallways. Red lights flashed. An alarm screamed. A woman's voice called out a name. He couldn't hear what name it was, but he knew it was important. He woke up sweating and breathing hard. The dream felt more real than anything Dr. Nix had told him. For the next 3 days, John learned about his new life. He was allowed to walk around certain parts of the facility. The Vexari watched him closely. There were areas he couldn't enter. Armed guards stood at those doors. On the 4th day, John met another human. Her name was Susan Rogers. She had arrived 6 months earlier. Like John, she had no memories of Earth. "You'll get used to it," Susan told him as they sat in what the Vexari called a relaxation garden. It was a room with strange blue plants and artificial sunlight. "The first few weeks are the hardest. Then you accept your new life." "Doesn't it bother you?" John asked. "Not knowing who you were?" Susan smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. "Why would it? The Vexari saved us. We should be grateful." Something about Susan bothered John. She spoke like she was reading from a script. And sometimes when they talked about certain topics, she would stop mid-sentence, her eyes going blank for a moment before continuing with a new thought. "Have you seen many other humans here?" John asked her. Susan started to answer, then froze. Her eyes glazed over. After 3 seconds, she blinked and said, "There aren't many of us. We're special. The Vexari chose us for our potential." Later, that day while Dr. Nix was running tests on John's brain, he noticed something. In a mirror on the wall, he could see the back of his head. There was a small scar behind his right ear. It was thin and precise, like a surgical cut. "What's this scar from?" John asked. Dr. Nix's hands paused over her equipment. "That's from your rescue. Many humans were injured when we evacuated them." "It looks very clean for a rescue injury," John said. "Our medical technology is advanced," Dr. Nix replied quickly. "Now please focus on the screen." That night, John couldn't sleep. He got out of bed and decided to explore. He wasn't supposed to leave his room at night, but no one had actually locked his door. The halls were dimly lit. John moved quietly, surprised at how naturally he stayed in the shadows. He took turns without thinking, as if his body remembered the way. He stopped suddenly, realizing something strange. He knew this facility's layout. He knew that the next turn led to a large open area, and that beyond that was a security station. He knew there would be 2 guards there, but how could he know this if he'd only been here a few days? John heard voices coming his way. He ducked into an alcove and held his breath as 2 Vexari walked past. "The new subject is showing resistance," one said. It was Krell's voice. "It's too early to tell," the other replied. John recognized Dr. Nix. Some memories are deeper than others. His combat training might be surfacing, but that doesn't mean he remembers the mission. "The last thing we need is another Prometheus incident," Krell said. "If he shows any more signs, wipe him again." They moved out of earshot, leaving John with a cold feeling in his stomach. Combat training? Mission? These words sent a jolt through him, like his body was responding to a code. John made his way back to his room, his mind racing. The Vexari were lying. Earth wasn't destroyed. He wasn't a refugee. And whatever they had taken from his mind, they had missed something important. He lay in bed, touching the scar behind his ear. In his mind, he repeated the word that had made his heart rate spike when Krell said it: Prometheus. He didn't know what it meant, but he was sure of one thing. It was the key to who he really was. A week passed. John played along with the Vexari. He smiled during his sessions with Dr. Nix. He ate the food they gave him. He pretended to believe their stories about Earth, but he watched everything. He counted the guards. He noticed which doors needed special cards to open. He memorized the faces of the other humans he saw. These other humans looked different from Susan. They didn't smile. Their eyes showed fear. When John saw a group of them being led down a hallway, they looked like prisoners, not refugees. "Who are those people?" John asked Dr. Nix the next day. "New arrivals," she said without looking up from her screen. "They haven't adjusted yet. They look scared," John said. Dr. Nix finally looked at him. "Wouldn't you be scared if you lost your world?" But John had supposedly lost his world, and he didn't feel scared. He felt angry. That night, pain shot through John's head. It felt like his brain was on fire. He fell to his knees, holding his head. Then, a memory flashed clear as day in his mind. He saw himself in a room with maps and screens. He wore a uniform with patches he couldn't quite make out. He was looking at drawings of a building. The building was the same one he was in now. In the memory, a man was speaking to him. "The facility has 3 main sections. Your target is in the East Wing, level 5. As quickly as it came, the memory vanished. John stayed on the floor, breathing hard. That wasn't a false memory. It was real. He had seen this place before. He had planned to come here. The next morning, John began testing himself. While alone in his room, he tried different movements. His body knew things his mind didn't remember. He could move silently. He knew how to stand to see reflections around corners. His hands automatically formed fighting positions. During a meal with Susan, John tried to hint at his doubts. "Don't you think it's strange we can't go to certain areas?" he asked quietly. Susan's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. The Vexari know what's best for us, she said. Her voice was flat. We should trust them, but don't you want to know the truth? John pressed. Susan stood up suddenly. I need to report this, she said, and walked away. John knew he had made a mistake. Within minutes, Krell and 2 guards came for him. Dr. Nix wants to see you, Krell said. His hand rested on what looked like a weapon at his hip. They led John to the medical room. Dr. Nix held a syringe filled with blue liquid. Susan tells me you're having dangerous thoughts, Dr. Nix said. This will help you. John looked at the needle, then at the 2 guards. He had one chance. He had to trust his body to know what to do. I'm fine, John said, backing up a step. I was just asking questions. Questions lead to problems, Krell said. He nodded to the guards. Hold him. As the guards moved forward, John's body took over. He ducked under the first guard's reach. His elbow struck the guard's neck. The guard fell. John spun and kicked the second guard's knee. There was a crack, and the guard went down. Krell pulled his weapon, but John was already moving. He slammed into Krell, knocking the weapon away. Dr. Nix backed against the wall, still holding the syringe. John grabbed Krell's access card from his belt and ran. Alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed in the hallway. John ran without thinking, letting his body guide him. He turned down corridors he hadn't seen before but somehow knew existed. He found himself in a narrow maintenance passage. Pipes ran along the walls. The air was warmer here. John moved deeper into the passage, away from the sounds of guards, searching for him. After what felt like hours, John heard someone coming. He pressed himself against the wall, ready to fight. A human man appeared. He wore a Vexari uniform but had human features. He was short, with red hair and a beard. His eyes widened when he saw John. You're Martinez, the man whispered. They said, you escaped. Who are you? John asked, not lowering his guard. Adam Wright. I work for them, but... He looked around nervously. I've had doubts for months. The things they do to humans here... Earth isn't destroyed, is it? John asked. Adam shook his head. No, Earth is fine. The Vexari have been taking humans for years. They wipe their memories and study them. Study us for what? They're afraid of humans, Adam said. They think we're dangerous. They want to understand us so they can defend against us. This fit with the memory John had seen. He was sent here on purpose. But why? I can help you, Adam said. There's a computer terminal in the next section. We might find answers about who you really are. John followed Adam through the maintenance tunnels. They came to a small room with screens and keyboards. Adam used a code to log in. What am I looking for? Adam asked. My name. John Martinez. And anything about something called Prometheus, Adam typed. Files appeared on the screen. Lists of humans, hundreds of them. Each had a label. Combat specialist. Tactical analyst. Engineering expert. Adam found John's file. Here you are, Lieutenant John Martinez, Special Forces. He paused, his face going pale. Your file is marked Protocol Omega, highest security clearance. Before they could read more, a new alarm sounded. This one was different, more urgent. They've tracked the terminal access, Adam said. He pulled something small from his pocket and handed it to John. It was a tiny metal disc, no bigger than a coin. Put this under your skin behind the scar. It will protect some of your memories if they wipe you again. What is it? John asked. A blocker. I stole it from their lab. Adam was already closing the files. You need to go. They'll be here soon. Come with me, John said. Adam shook his head. They'll catch us both. I'll hold them off. Give you time. He looked John in the eyes. When the time comes, remember Prometheus. John took the disc and pushed it under the skin behind his ear, where the scar was. It stung, but went in easily. Go. Left at the next junction, Adam said. It leads to the living quarters. Blend in with the other humans. John hesitated, then nodded. Thank you. He ran. Behind him, he heard the door to the terminal room burst open. He heard Adam shouting, then a sound like electricity. John made it to the junction and turned left. He ran straight into Krell and 6 guards. Krell smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Enough running, human," Krell said. The guards grabbed John. One pressed a device to his neck. John felt his muscles go weak. As darkness took him, his last thought was of the small disc behind his ear, his one hope of remembering. When John woke again, Dr. Nix was smiling down at him. "Hello," she said kindly. "Don't be afraid. You're safe now. My name is Dr. Nix. You've been through a lot, but you're going to be fine." John smiled back. He felt calm and happy. "Where am I?" he asked. "You're in a safe place," Dr. Nix said. "Earth was dying. We rescued you. The trauma was too great, so we had to remove your memories. But don't worry. You're among friends now." Deep in John's mind, behind the new blankness, something small and hard protected a single word: Prometheus. John smiled at Dr. Nix during his therapy session. He nodded when she showed him pictures of Vexari culture. He thanked her for saving him from a dying Earth. On the outside, he was the perfect patient. Inside, John's mind was different. The small disc behind his ear worked. It protected a core of memories that the Vexari couldn't touch. In that protected space, John remembered Adam Wright. He remembered the word Prometheus. He remembered that he was Lieutenant John Martinez, a soldier with a mission. "You're making excellent progress," Dr. Nix told him. "Director Krell was worried about you, but I told him you would adjust well. Thank you for your help," John said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Because John seemed so cooperative, the Vexari gave him more freedom. He could now go to the common areas without guards. He could eat meals with other humans. He could even work simple jobs in the facility. John used this freedom to watch and learn. The disc didn't just protect his memories. It slowly helped him recover more. Each night, as he slept, more pieces came back to him. He remembered a briefing room. On Earth, military officers in uniform. Maps of space showing Vexari territory. 3 human colonies have gone silent, a woman in a general's uniform said in his memory. No communication for 2 months. The last message from Colony Delta mentioned Vexari ships in the area. John remembered his assignment: infiltrate a Vexari facility. Find out if they were responsible for the missing colonies. Gather intelligence on Vexari weaknesses. "You'll be on your own, Lieutenant Martinez," the general said. "If they capture you, we can't help you." During the day, John worked in the facility's food preparation area. The job let him move around and see many parts of the facility. He noticed which humans seemed most aware, least like the empty-eyed Susan Rogers. He made small talk with them, looking for signs that they might be breaking free of Vexari control. One day, John was delivering meals to a research section he hadn't been to before. A human woman with short gray hair took the tray from him. Their fingers touched. She pressed something small into his palm while taking the tray. "Enjoy your meal," John said, closing his hand around the object. "Thank you," the woman replied. Her eyes were clear and focused, not blank like most humans in the facility. Later, in his room, John looked at what she had given him. It was a small piece of paper with a message: "Storage Room B, Level 2, midnight." John knew it was a risk. It could be a trap, but it could also be a chance to find allies. At midnight, John carefully made his way to Level 2. He had mapped most of the facilities, security cameras by now, and knew how to avoid them. Storage Room B was at the end of a quiet hallway. John checked for guards, then slipped inside. The room was dark except for a small light in the back. The gray-haired woman stood there with 2 other humans, a tall man with dark skin and a younger woman with a scar across her cheek. "Lieutenant Martinez," the gray-haired woman said. "I'm Grace Miller, former intelligence analyst for Earth Defense." "How do you know who I am?" John asked. "The same way I know I'm not a refugee from a destroyed Earth," Grace said. "My memory wipe wasn't completely successful. I remember things I shouldn't." "We've been watching you," the tall man said. "You're different, more aware." "We're not the only ones," the younger woman added. "There are others like us. Not many, but enough. We call ourselves the Awakened." "What do you know about the Vexari?" John asked. Why are they doing this to us? Grace's face became serious. They're studying us. Specifically, they're studying what makes humans dangerous. The Vexari are a peaceful species, the tall man explained. They evolved without natural predators or wars. They've never developed weapons or combat tactics. But now they're facing a threat, the younger woman continued. Another alien race is expanding into their territory, a hostile race. The Vexari are afraid. So they're using us, John said, understanding. They're studying humans to learn about warfare. Grace nodded. They take soldiers mostly, people with combat training or strategic minds. They wipe our memories and run tests to see how we react to threats. They're trying to understand the human capacity for violence. John thought about this. It explained a lot. But not everything. What about Prometheus? He asked. Does that mean anything to you? The three exchanged looks. Where did you hear that? Grace asked, her voice tense. From a man named Adam Wright. He helped me before they wiped my memory again. He told me to remember Prometheus. Grace took a deep breath. Prometheus was a human who escaped 6 months ago. He managed to send a message back to Earth before the Vexari recaptured him. That's how Earth learned what was happening here. That's why they sent you. John closed his eyes as another memory surfaced. He was in a secure room on Earth. A scientist was injecting something into his arm. This is a failsafe, the scientist said. If they capture you and wipe your memory, this will remain dormant in your system. It's keyed to your neural patterns. If you start to remember, it will activate. What will it do? John asked in the memory. The scientist didn't answer directly. It's our insurance policy, Operation Prometheus. John opened his eyes. I think I'm carrying something, he said to Grace. Something they put in me before the mission. Something that activates when memory wipes fail. Before Grace could respond, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed. They've discovered your room is empty, Grace said. We need to move. Our plan was always to get to the communication center, if we can contact Earth. I know where it is, John said as more memories surfaced. Level 4, East Wing, but it's heavily guarded. We have people in other sections, the tall man said. They can create distractions. Meet us tomorrow, Grace told John. Maintenance Shaft 7 after work shift. We'll have a plan by then. They split up, each taking different routes back to their assigned areas. John made it back to his room just as guards came to check on him. He pretended to wake from a deep sleep. The next day passed slowly. John went through his normal routine, careful not to show any change. During his therapy session, Dr. Nix seemed distracted. Is everything okay, Doctor? John asked. Just a small security concern, she said. Nothing for you to worry about. As she examined him, her scanner passed over his head. It beeped when it reached the spot behind his ear where the disc was hidden. Dr. Nix frowned. She ran the scanner over the spot again. The beep was louder. That's strange, she said. There seems to be something. She looked closely at the scar behind John's ear. John knew he had to act fast. As Dr. Nix leaned in to examine the scar, he grabbed a medical tool from her tray and pressed it against her neck. Don't move, he said quietly. I don't want to hurt you. John, what are you doing? Dr. Nix asked, her large eyes wide with surprise. Finding the truth, John answered. I know what you're doing to humans here. I know Earth isn't destroyed. Dr. Nix didn't deny it. You don't understand, she said. We need to learn from humans. We need to survive. By wiping our minds, by keeping us prisoner. The council thought it was the only way, Dr. Nix said. I've argued for different methods, but... Footsteps sounded in the hallway. Guards were coming. I'm sorry, John said. He pressed the tool harder and Dr. Nix slumped unconscious. John ran. Alarms blared throughout the facility. He needed to reach Maintenance Shaft 7 and join Grace and the others. Their only hope was to contact Earth. As he ran, John felt something changing inside him. The failsafe was activating. Operation Prometheus was beginning, whatever that meant. And deep in his mind, a clock started ticking. John ran through the halls of the facility. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed on the walls. He could hear guards shouting as they searched for him. He reached maintenance shaft 7 and slipped inside. The narrow passage was dark and warm. Pipes ran along the walls, carrying water and air throughout the facility. "Grace?" John called softly. "Are you here?" "Over here," came a whispered reply. John moved deeper into the shaft. Grace and 5 other humans waited in a small junction where several passages met. They had makeshift weapons, metal pipes, and tools. "The whole facility is looking for you," Grace said. "What happened?" "Dr. Nix found the disc behind my ear," John explained. "I had to run." "This changes our timeline," Grace said. "We need to move now. The communication center is 3 levels up." One of the humans, a woman with red hair, spoke up. "I worked in that section before they moved me. Security is heavy, at least 6 guards at all times. And Director Krell will be looking for us," another added. He never trusted the memory wipes to hold. John felt a strange warmth spreading through his body. It started at the base of his skull and moved down his spine. Something was changing inside him. The failsafe was activating. "We need to hurry," John said. "I think something is happening to me. The Prometheus protocol is starting." They moved through the maintenance passages, avoiding the main halls where guards patrolled. When they had to cross open areas, they timed their movements between security sweeps. As they climbed to level 4, John's memories continued to return. He remembered more of the briefing on Earth. "The Prometheus protocol is a last resort," the scientist had told him. "Your body has been modified at the cellular level. If captured and subjected to neural tampering like memory wipes, the modifications will activate." "What will happen then?" John had asked. "Your body will become a weapon," was the answer. "A very specific kind of weapon designed for the Vixari." Now, as they moved closer to the communication center, John understood what was happening. His body was changing, becoming something deadly. They reached a service door that opened into a corridor near the communication center. Grace peered through a small window in the door. 6 guards, just like you said," she whispered to the red-haired woman. "We can't fight through that many. We need a distraction," John said. One of the humans, a thin man with glasses, spoke up. "I can cause a malfunction in the environmental systems. It would draw some of them away." "Do it," Grace ordered. The man moved to a control panel in the wall. He worked quickly, rewiring circuits. Suddenly, alarms began to sound in a distant part of the facility. "Fire alert in Section 12, announced a voice over the speakers. "Security personnel report to Section 12. 4 of the 6 guards ran down the corridor, leaving only 2 at the door to the communication center. "Now we move," Grace said. They burst through the service door. The 2 remaining guards turned in surprise. John moved faster than he ever had before. His body seemed to know exactly what to do. He struck one guard in the throat. The guard fell, gasping. The second guard raised a weapon, but Grace hit him from behind with a metal pipe. "Get the door open," John told the red-haired woman. She worked on the security panel while the others watched the corridor. The door slid open, revealing a room filled with communication equipment. Screens showed different parts of space. Control panels lined the walls. "Seal the door behind us," Grace ordered as they entered. John moved to the main console. His fingers flew over the controls. More memories guided his actions. He knew how to operate this equipment, how to send a secure message to Earth. "How much time do we have?" Grace asked. "Not long," John replied. "They'll override the door soon." As John worked, the warmth in his body grew stronger. His vision blurred, then sharpened. He could see details he never noticed before. He could hear the heartbeats of the humans around him. "What's happening to you?" Grace asked, noticing the change. "The Prometheus protocol," John said. "It's changing me." Before he could explain more, the main screen lit up. Director Krell's face appeared. "Lieutenant Martinez," Krell said. His voice was cold. "You've caused quite a problem. Let us contact Earth," John demanded. "End this experiment." I'm afraid I can't do that, Krell replied. The research is too important. The survival of my species depends on it. John felt anger rising inside him. The warmth became heat burning through his veins. You're holding humans against their will, John said, wiping their minds, using them as lab rats. We're facing extinction, Krell said. A hostile species is moving through our space, destroying everything in their path. We need to understand warfare. We need to understand violence. There were other ways, John argued. You could have asked for help. Would your people have helped us? Krell asked. Or would they have seen us as weak and taken advantage? Before John could answer, the door to the communication center began to glow red. The Vexari were cutting through. We're out of time, Grace said. John turned back to the console. He needed just a few more seconds to send the message. His fingers moved faster than should be possible. The burning in his body was reaching a peak. The door fell open. Armed guards rushed in. Director Krell followed them. Take them, Krell ordered. The guards grabbed the humans. Two approached John but stopped. They looked afraid. What's wrong with him? One guard asked. John looked at his hands. His skin was glowing with a faint blue light, the same color as the Vexari's skin. The Prometheus Protocol, Krell said, his eyes wide. It's fully activating. What is happening to me? John demanded. Krell stepped forward. Your people are more clever than we thought, and more ruthless. You're becoming a weapon designed specifically for us. What do you mean? Your cells are producing nanobots, Krell explained. Microscopic machines programmed to attack Vexari. Biology. You've been spreading them throughout our facility for days. In the air, in the water. Every Vexari here is already infected. John remembered the scientist's words. Your body will become a weapon, a very specific kind of weapon designed for the Vexari. You're a biological weapon, Lieutenant Martinez, Krell said. A plague carrier. When the protocol completes, the nanobots will activate. Every Vexari in this facility will die. The other humans looked at John in shock. I didn't know, John said. I swear I didn't know. Of course you didn't, Krell said. Your own people used you. They turned you into a doomsday device and didn't even tell you. Grace stepped forward. There must be a way to stop it. Krell shook his head. The process has gone too far. We detected unusual particles in the air systems days ago, but we didn't know the source. He looked at John. It was you all along. John felt sick. He had been sent here to gather intelligence, but his real purpose was something far darker. He was a living weapon designed to kill an entire facility of Vexari. How long? John asked. Hours, maybe less, Krell said. Unless what? Grace demanded. Unless we put Lieutenant Martinez in complete biological stasis, Krell said. Freeze the process before it completes. John looked at the console. His message to Earth was ready to send. One button would alert his people to what was happening here. But was that what he wanted now? To be part of a mass killing? The blue glow from his skin grew brighter. The Prometheus Protocol was accelerating. John had to make a choice, and time was running out. John looked at his glowing blue hands, then at the Vexari guards, and finally at Grace and the other humans. Everyone was watching him, waiting to see what he would do. I won't be a weapon of mass destruction, John said. Not even against those who wiped my mind. A noble sentiment, Director Krell said, but it may be too late to stop the process. The door to the communication center opened again. Dr. Nix rushed in. She had a bruise on her neck where John had knocked her unconscious. I have a theory, she said, looking at John. The nanobots respond to your neural patterns. If we can adjust those patterns, we might slow the process. You want to alter his mind again? Grace asked angrily. Haven't you done enough of that? This is different, Dr. Nix insisted. Not a memory wipe, more like a temporary pause button for his brain. John felt the heat in his body growing stronger. The blue glow had spread up his arms and across his chest. Whatever was happening inside him, it was accelerating. Do we have any other options? John asked. Krell and Dr. Nix exchanged looks. There is an evacuation protocol, Krell admitted reluctantly. We could abandon the facility, get our people to safety before the nanobots activate. And the humans? John demanded. We would take them with us, Dr. Nix said quickly. I've argued for better treatment of humans for years. This crisis might finally force the Council to listen. You expect us to trust you? Grace asked. After everything you've done? No, Dr. Nix replied honestly. But Lieutenant Martinez's condition leaves us little choice but to work together. John made his decision. He turned to the communication console and pressed the send button. His message to Earth was simple. Facility located, humans alive, Vexari studying warfare, Prometheus protocol activated, seeking peaceful resolution, evacuation in progress, no military action needed. What did you just do? Krell demanded. I told Earth what's happening, John said. But I also told them we're working on a peaceful solution. The facility's main alarm system suddenly activated. A calm voice announced, Evacuation protocol initiated. All personnel proceed to transport bays. This is not a drill. You're really doing this? Grace asked Krell. We have no choice. Krell replied. The nanobots will soon become active and every Vexari in this facility will die unless we leave. How do we know you won't just abandon the humans? John asked, the blue glow now covering most of his body. You'll come with us, Dr. Nix said. You and Grace and your resistance leaders, as witnesses and negotiators. John nodded. It was the best option they had. The evacuation moved quickly. The Vexari were nothing if not efficient. Transport ships were loaded with essential equipment and personnel. The human prisoners were confused but relieved to be leaving their cells. John's condition continued to worsen. The heat inside him was nearly unbearable now. His skin glowed bright blue, and he could feel the nanobots multiplying, preparing to spread and attack any Vexari nearby. Dr. Nix worked frantically in the medical bay of the main transport ship. She had connected John to machines that monitored his condition. The process is reaching critical level, she told him. I need to try the neural adjustment now. Will it hurt? John asked. Yes, Dr. Nix said simply, but it might save many lives. John nodded. Do it. Dr. Nix placed a device on John's head. It looked like a metal crown with wires connected to a larger machine. This will send electrical impulses to specific parts of your brain, she explained. It should disrupt the signals that are controlling the nanobots. She activated the device. Pain shot through John's head. It felt like his brain was on fire. He screamed and arched his back. Images flashed through his mind. His real memories mixed with new ones. He saw Earth. He saw the military base where he trained. He saw the scientist explaining the Prometheus protocol. We've modified your cellular structure, the scientist had said. If captured, your body will produce nanobots designed to target Vexari biology. It's a failsafe. If you can't complete your mission, you'll become the mission. John saw the truth now. He hadn't volunteered for this. He had been chosen because his genetic profile was compatible with the modifications. They had turned him into a weapon without his consent. The pain increased. John felt like his skull would split open. Then suddenly, the heat inside him began to fade. The blue glow dimmed. It's working, Dr. Nix said, checking her instruments. The nanobots are becoming dormant. As the pain subsided, John became aware of his surroundings again. Through the ship's viewport, he could see the facility growing smaller as they moved away. Other transport ships moved alongside them, carrying Vexari and humans to safety. Where will we go? John asked, his voice weak. To our homeworld initially, Krell said. He had been watching from the doorway. From there we can open proper, diplomatic channels with Earth. They turned me into a weapon, John said. My own people. And we turned you into a lab rat, Dr. Nix replied. Neither side has clean hands in this. Grace entered the medical bay. The other humans are settled, she reported. Confused but calm for now. She looked at John. How is he? The treatment is working, Dr. Nix said. The nanobots are becoming inactive. He won't be a threat to us. And the humans back in the facility? John asked. The ones who weren't evacuated? Krell looked uncomfortable. The nanobots were designed for Vexari biology. They shouldn't affect humans. Shouldn't, John repeated. But you're not sure. We'll send unmanned probes back to check, Dr. Nix promised, as soon as it's safe. John closed his eyes. He felt exhausted. The neural treatment had left him drained, but his mind was clearer than it had been since he first woke up in the facility. The memory wipes, the Prometheus protocol, all of it was clear to him now. We need to prepare, he said. When we contact Earth, they'll want to know everything, and they may not be happy that their weapon didn't go off. We'll face that together, Grace said. She took his hand. You chose mercy over revenge. That counts for something. John looked out at the stars through the viewport. Somewhere out there was Earth, the planet that had sent him on this mission. And somewhere else was the hostile alien race that had frightened the Vexari so badly they had resorted to kidnapping and experimenting on humans. The future was uncertain. But John had made his choice. He would not be a weapon, he would be a bridge. Between humans and Vexari, between war and peace. We have time now, John said. Time to find a better way. As the ships moved further from the facility, John felt something he hadn't expected to feel again after learning the truth about his mission. Hope. His memories had been wiped. But the Vexari had overlooked something important. Not just the Prometheus protocol, but something more fundamental. They had overlooked the human capacity for choice, for mercy, for change. And that, John thought as he drifted into an exhausted sleep, might just save them all.